All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So free agency kicks off on Monday. I am freaking excited. I am pumped up. Now, in this one, I wanted to do really just a free agent preview, right? Just kind of get the bearings down for the New York Jets. I'm not in this one going to be diving into the free agent targets that's coming tomorrow in two separate videos. Offensive free agent targets, defensive free agent targets that are, of course, realistic here. That just, they fit the timeline. All these guys fit what the Jets want to do from a schematic standpoint. I'm looking at the notes right here. I really want to dive into it, but I think really the precursor, the first, kind of step when talking about free agency is understanding where you're at, right? Cap space, what are the team, the overall team needs. What are the draft picks looking like? Do we have a lot? Do we not have a lot? A lot of questions here to kind of understand, okay, you know what? This is who we are right now. This is our identity. And what exactly are we going to be looking for in the free agent market? Are we going to be a big spender? Are we going to be targeting the top tier guys? Are we going to hold out? Are we going to target veterans, right? A lot of questions like that need to be answered first before free agency kicks off. So first order business, cap space. Where do the Jets currently stand? Aaron Rodgers still on the team. Davante Adams no longer with the team, right? Officially released. We have a lot of different things to kind of dive into. A lot of players that the Jets can still move on to. We'll get into it. But as we stand right now, the Jets are sitting at $51.8 million in available cap space. A pretty big number, right? Keep in mind, Aaron Rodgers has still not been officially released. If he's a post-June 1st release, the Jets will save $9.5 million. The downside with that, of course, is the Jets are going to have to pay Rodgers in 2026, right, the remainder of his contract, and then they'll finally be done with him. But besides Rodgers, you can talk about potentially releasing Allen Lazard. If he's released pre-June 1st, that's a $6.6 million saving. If it's a post-June 1st cut, it's $11 million saved against the cap. CJ Mosley's another one, right? 3.6 pre-June 1st, $4 million post-June 1st. Greg Zuerlein, another move that could be made here. He initially signed that 2-year contract. If he's cut before June 1st, $2.4 million saved. Post June 1st, $4.1 million saved. So the bottom line is that cap space number is going to continue to rise. $51.8 million is a great position to be in, especially for a new general manager, starting things out. But again, that number is going to continue to shoot up here. That is really, really important. And then, of course, we have to turn our attention to the NFL draft, right? Obviously, this is going to impact free agency in a big way. You start taking a look at where the positions are strong at in the free agent market. Safety, edge rusher, defensive tackle, I would say are probably the three strongest. Interior offensive line and running back is also really strong. Tight end is another positional group where, hey, this is going to be one of those drafts where you can probably snag a starting caliber tight end in rounds 2 and 3. Like that's the talent level of this upcoming class. Now, the weaker positions, unfortunately, the Jets need both wide receivers and quarterback. And I think some of the other positions too, it's just average, it's just a typical draft, linebackers, corners, and whatnot. But now that we have that out of the way, let's take a look at the actual team needs for this Jets squad. First position that comes to mind, it is so important, defensive tackle. You look at how important it was for Detroit and that style of defense. And of course, the lack of talent at the position with the Jets. Quinnen Williams, of course, we got locking down the middle, but outside of him, the Jets did not perform well last season at D tackle, and the two performers opposite of Quinnen Williams, Javon Kinlaw and Lecky Fotu, of course, were disappointing, but also are free agents. So we have a massive void at D tackle. And we really gotta focus our attention at that position. But outside of D tackle, we need safeties. Multiple safeties. We need a right tackle. We need tight ends. We need wide receivers, linebackers, assuming CJ Mosley gets released and Jamie Sherwood walks. And of course, the big one here is quarterback. Now, realistically speaking, I highly doubt that the Jets, or really any team, can have that many team needs, along with depth issues, right? We're going to need another edge rusher, guys like that. And say, okay, we're going to get the A+ picture perfect fit at every single one of these team needs and be totally fine moving forward and have all of the issues addressed in one offseason. Again, in a weaker free agency class. I highly doubt that. So because that's the case, I think Darren Mougey and Aaron Glenn really need to try to use this available cap space on the guys that they feel like are system fits, culture fits, and that also fit the timeline with the Jets core, right? The Olus, the Garrett Wilsons, the running back room, right? AVT, Sauce Gardner, Joe Tippmann, right? Jermaine Johnson, Will McDonald, Michael Carter, this young kind of high upside core that the Jets have, because the Jets right now are like a top heavy team. You know, we have some top and some of the best talent in football at specific positions, but then, you know, you start going through names and it drops off really quick as far as overall depth is concerned here. So, you know, I really want there to be a focused approach in the free agent market specifically. Hey, who are the guys that check a lot of boxes, fit the timeline that we could of course afford? Have your number, stick to your number. I get that. I know it's a quote that we heard a lot from Joe Douglas, right? He's not moving off of his number. But I think because the Jets aren't in this Super Bowl or bust window, and it's like, hey, we really want to replenish the roster, add a lot of quantity to the roster, make sure that guys fit, make sure that we're not just spending haphazardly here. And with the new regime coming in, new scouting department, Rick Spielman, of course, is going to be a prominent voice. And then, of course, new schemes, new coaches, both on offense and defense. I don't see a lot of the Jets running it back with a lot of the same players that we had maybe on one-year deals from a year ago, right? I don't see Kinlaw. I don't see Ashton Davis. I don't see Lucky Fotu. I don't see a lot of these guys, DJ Reed, coming back in free agency. I'm expecting a lot of moving parts. And so again, tomorrow we're going to be dropping the prospect target list, right? 2 separate videos, a little 2-part series, offensive targets, defensive targets. I would just, include it in this video, but I don't I feel like I can talk a long time about each individual prospect, and I don't necessarily want to drop like a 50-minute video because I know not everyone is, into that style of content. Which is totally cool. So, little 2-part series, offensive and defensive. I don't know which one I want to post first, but quick spoiler, I think the defensive free agents are more so in that top tier, that tier 1 category. I think there's maybe more difference makers, guys that really push the needle on the defensive side compared to the offensive side. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about, some trade targets and, maybe should the Jets trade or shouldn't they trade for, some of the guys that have recently requested trades, like DK Metcalf and Christian Kirk's another option who was just released. We'll get into all of it, but anyway, I kind of wanted to just get that groundwork out there, just kind of talk about the base layer. Team needs. Where do we stand with the NFL draft? And of course, the big question here, where exactly do the Jets stand with overall cap space? So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.